Why the next economy starts in living rooms. The feminine soft power economy. The coffee had gone cold again, another morning balancing the noise of the house and the quiet question she kept avoiding. Can I really build something of my own? She wasn't chasing millions, just freedom. The kind that fits between nap times and school pickups. But something was shifting. Not just for her, for millions like her. Women who had spent years being told their value lived outside the home, only to discover that the most powerful economy of the next decade might be built from within it. This isn't about side hustles or weekend hobbies. This is about a fundamental restructuring of how value gets created, who creates it, and where the real power has been hiding all along. Part of her still felt guilty for wanting more, as if ambition had to disappear when motherhood began, as if choosing to stay home meant choosing to stay still. But the kitchen table she cleared every morning wasn't just a place to feed her family anymore. It was becoming something else, a studio, a workshop, a command center for a life she was quietly designing. She didn't know it yet, but she was part of something much larger, a movement that economists were just beginning to notice and corporations were starting to fear. The feminine soft power economy wasn't loud. It didn't announce itself with press releases or venture capital rounds. It grew in living rooms, in group chats, in the margins of days that looked ordinary from the outside. But the numbers told a different story. According to recent studies, small home-based businesses led by women are growing 40% faster than other segments. Proof that clarity often beats capital. What would you have done in her place? She remembered the exact moment the idea came. Not from a business book or a motivational video, but from the mess on her kitchen table. Art supplies scattered next to unpaid bills. A half-written list of things she used to love doing. An Instagram post from someone who had turned their hobby into income. It felt impossible and obvious at the same time. The old economy had taught her that success meant office buildings, commutes, and climbing ladders designed by people who never had to think about who would pick up the kids at 3:15. But this new economy, it played by different rules. Rules she was already fluent in, even if no one had ever called them valuable before. Connection over competition. Community over scale. Sustainability over speed. These weren't buzzwords to her. They were survival strategies she'd been practicing for years. She smiled, not because it was easy, but because it was finally hers. The feminine soft power economy operates on principles that traditional business models have historically dismissed or undervalued. Emotional intelligence, relationship building, long-term trust over short-term transactions, the ability to hold multiple truths at once, to be both nurturing and strategic, soft and fierce. These weren't weaknesses. They were the exact skills the digital economy desperately needed. While tech companies spent billions trying to manufacture authentic connection, she already knew how to build it. While brands hired consultants to understand their communities, she was the community. Then came the doubt, the kind that whispers louder than failure. Maybe success just wasn't meant for someone like her. Maybe the women making it work online were different somehow. More tech-savvy, more confident, more something she wasn't. But she kept scrolling, kept watching, kept noticing how many of those successful women had started exactly where she was now. Kitchen table, borrowed laptop, more questions than answers. The difference wasn't talent or luck, it was permission. Permission they had given themselves to start before they were ready. To be imperfect in public. To redefine what success could look like when you designed it around your life instead of fitting your life around it. She almost gave up until one message changed everything. A woman she'd been following for months responded to her comment. Not with a sales pitch or a link to a course, but with something simpler. I see you. I started the same way. You've got this. 6 words. But they carried the weight of recognition, of solidarity, of a door quietly opening. Sometimes growth doesn't look like progress, it looks like staying. Staying present, staying curious, staying willing to believe that the skills you've been using to hold your family together might be the same ones that could build something extraordinary. The living room economy isn't about working from home. It's about recognizing that home has always been a site of production. We just stopped counting it. Every meal planned is project management. Every budget balanced is financial literacy. Every conflict navigated is negotiation and mediation. Every story told at bedtime is content creation and emotional regulation. These skills translate, they scale, they matter. Her workspace was still her kitchen counter, but it no longer felt like chaos. It felt like possibility. She started small, a service she could offer during nap time, a digital product she could create while the kids watched their afternoon show. Nothing that required her to choose between being present and being ambitious. Because that was the real revolution, not having to choose. The feminine soft power economy rejects the false binary that shaped the previous generation's choices. You don't have to lean in so far, you fall over. You don't have to sacrifice your identity at the altar of either motherhood or career. You can build something that bends around the shape of your life, something that grows as you grow, something that values the rhythms you've been honoring all along, rest and hustle, connection and solitude, nurturing others while nurturing yourself. Research shows that women are starting businesses at twice the rate of men, and a significant percentage of these ventures are home-based, values-driven, and built around flexibility rather than traditional growth metrics. This isn't a trend, it's a tectonic shift. The economy that valued extraction over sustainability, competition over collaboration, and productivity over presence is showing its cracks. Meanwhile, the economy being built in living rooms operates on renewable energy, the kind that comes from doing work that actually matters to you. But the road wasn't smooth. There were nights she questioned everything. Days when the business felt like one more thing on an already impossible list. Moments when going back to a traditional job seemed easier, even if it meant giving up what she'd started to build. What kept her going wasn't the money, though that helped. It was the feeling of being fully herself for the first time in years. Not wife her or mom her, or the version of her that made everyone comfortable. Just her, whole and complex, and still figuring it out. The soft power economy makes space for that complexity. It doesn't demand you perform certainty or project polish. It invites you to show up human, messy, learning, evolving in real time. And it turns out, that's exactly what people are hungry for. Authenticity isn't a marketing strategy in this economy. It's the foundation. She smiled this time with coffee still warm in her hand. The traditional economy had taught her to measure success in titles, salaries, and square footage. But this new economy measured different things. Impact over income, though income mattered too. Freedom over status, though influence came naturally. Community over conquest, though growth was inevitable when you built something people actually needed. Her definition of wealth was changing. It wasn't about having everything. It was about having enough, and having it on her terms. Enough time with her children during the years that mattered most. Enough income to contribute meaningfully to her household. Enough creative fulfillment to remember who she was before motherhood and to discover who she was becoming through it. Enough autonomy to say no to things that didn't serve her and yes to opportunities that did. This is what the living room economy offers, not escape from responsibility, but integration with it. Not balance, which implies constant precariousness, but harmony, which suggests all the parts working together. The platforms made it possible. The technology enabled it, but the movement itself was powered by something older and more enduring. Women's ability to create value in spaces that have been invisible to traditional economic measurement. What would you have done in her place? She started sharing her journey. Not perfectly curated highlight reels, but the real texture of building something while building a life. The failures and pivots. The days she made $200 and felt like a millionaire. The days she made nothing and reminded herself why she was doing this. Her audience grew, not because she was selling them something, but because she was showing them something. A different way forward. A different definition of having it all. One that didn't require having it all at once. Then came the doubt, the kind that whispers louder than failure. Who are you to teach anyone anything? You're just figuring this out yourself. But that voice was operating from old economy logic. The logic that said you needed credentials and permission and a decade of experience before you could offer value. The new economy worked differently. Your lived experience was your credential. Your willingness to share what you learned along the way was your permission slip. Your community wasn't looking for gurus, they were looking for guides who remembered what it felt like to be where they are now. Sometimes growth doesn't look like progress, it looks like staying. Staying honest, staying connected to your why, staying committed even when the metrics don't move as fast as you'd like. The feminine soft power economy values different metrics anyway. Depth over breadth, quality over quantity, sustainable pace over unsustainable hustle. It asks different questions. Not how fast can you grow, but how whole can you stay while growing. Not how much can you extract, but how much can you create without depleting yourself. These questions change everything. According to research from financial institutions and entrepreneurship organizations, women-led businesses demonstrate higher survival rates and more stable growth patterns, particularly in economic downturns. The qualities that traditional business culture dismissed as soft caution, community focus, relationship orientation, turn out to be incredibly effective long-term strategies. She was building something that could weather storms because it was built on foundations that mattered. Trust, reciprocity, real value exchange, not hype or borrowed urgency or manipulated scarcity. Her workspace was still her kitchen counter, but it no longer felt like chaos. It felt like possibility. And more than that, it felt like proof. Proof that you could start small and stay small if that served you. Or start small and grow into something larger if that's where the journey led. The point was having the choice. The autonomy, the sovereignty over your own time and energy and creative output. What helped her most wasn't just finding the right tools, though practical resources mattered. It was realizing that she didn't need permission to start small. That beginning messy was better than waiting for perfect. That her kitchen table was exactly enough space to change her life. She tested different approaches. Some worked immediately. Others taught her what not to do next time. All of it was information. All of it was moving her forward, even when it felt like spinning in place. This isn't a promotion, just the truth about what made the path a little lighter. Having a few reliable resources, a community that understood the unique challenge of building something around the edges of caregiving. Tools that actually worked for the way her days actually flowed. The living room economy thrives on this kind of honest sharing. Not polished testimonials or manufactured urgency, but real people saying this helped me. It might help you too. She began to notice something. The women who found her weren't just following for business tips. They were following for permission. Permission to want more. Permission to start imperfectly. Permission to build a life that actually fit them, instead of contorting themselves to fit a life someone else designed. This was the real product of the feminine soft power economy. Not just goods or services or digital downloads, but possibility itself. The revolutionary idea that you could be multiple things at once: devoted mother and ambitious creator, present partner and independent builder, soft and strategic, nurturing and fierce. The either-or economy was dying. The both-and economy was being born in living rooms just like hers. She smiled, not because it was easy, but because it was finally hers. Her children were watching. Not just watching her work, but watching her honor her own dreams alongside theirs. Watching her prove that mothers could be whole people with interior lives and ambitions and projects that mattered. This was the generational shift. Not just economic, but cultural. The next generation would grow up knowing that creativity and caregiving could coexist. That ambition didn't require abandoning the people you love. That success could be defined in ways that actually made you happy instead of just making you busy. The revolution wasn't televised because it was happening in spaces traditional media didn't think to look. Living rooms, kitchen tables, the quiet hours of nap time, and early morning before the house woke up. But the impact was undeniable. Billions of dollars moving through these microeconomies. Millions of women supporting themselves and each other. Entire industries being disrupted by people who refused to play by rules that were never written with them in mind. The feminine soft power economy wasn't asking permission anymore. It was building the future one living room at a time. Sometimes, growth doesn't look like progress, it looks like staying. But sometimes, staying in your truth, staying committed to your values, staying connected to what actually matters is the most radical form of growth there is. When she poured her coffee the next morning, it was still hot because this time, she wasn't rushing. She was building something sustainable, something she could be proud of, something that proved the living room had always been powerful. We just stopped recognizing it as the economic engine it truly is. The kitchen table economy, the naptime revolution, the feminine soft power movement. Whatever you call it, it's here. It's growing, and it's rewriting every assumption about where value comes from and who gets to create it. She had become part of something larger than herself, a wave of women refusing to choose between presence and ambition, between caregiving and creation, between being seen as soft or being taken seriously. They were proving you could be both. That soft was powerful, that presence was productive, that the skills honed in the domestic sphere translated beautifully to the digital one. This is the economy being built in living rooms, not as an alternative to the traditional economy, but as an evolution of it. More human, more sustainable, more aligned with how people actually want to live. Tell us what part of her story resonated with you most and where you're watching from. Your journey might just inspire the next one. Disclaimer: this content is for educational purposes only and does not replace consultation or assistance from a professional. Always consult a qualified professional for any questions related to finance, business, or investments. Tell us which country or city you're watching from. See you in the next video. Bye.